Federal government withdraws Emirates airline approval. Key players advocate close collaborations if fight against gender-based violence must be achieved. And on the program today, the return of artifacts scattered away 124 years ago from Benin. What does this imply for Nigeria, Edo State, and the people in general? You're welcome. This is Panorama. We are reaching you from the Benin Network Center. I am Ogochkuka Ona. Nigeria's Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, has described the National Development Plan as an attempt by the federal government to build a strong future for youths and establish a solid base for the nation's economy. Professor Osinbajo stated this at the convocation ceremony of the Obafemi Awolowo University Ile-Ife, which also coincides with the 50th anniversary of the foremost university. Femi Afariogun reports.
Been established 60 years ago, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo at the 45th convocation of Obafemi Awolowo University Ile-Ife sees the foremost institution as a trailblazer which has produced generations of creative minds and still turning out graduates who are a bastion of innovation and progressivism. Osinbajo, who took pride in the achievement of alumni of OAU, believes the solution to the world's challenges rests on the shoulders of innovators.
The graduates today will have some of the highest shoulders and the broadest shoulders to stand on. But it is this generation that must deal with the biggest issues that confront the world and confront our nation. It is the big and innovative idea that will solve this problem. You will have to confront the problems of climate change and a world moving away from fossil fuels. And you will usher in the age of renewable energy and green solutions.
The Vice President challenged Nigerian youth to come up with smarter agricultural solutions to feed the country's growing population, stressing that plans are on the way to empower more youths in the country.
Of the workplace. This is why we're working with the United Nations Development Program and the European Union and other partners on the Jubilees Fellows Program, which is a one-year work placement scheme for 20,000 young Nigerians annually over the next 5 years. It will be a paid work placement scheme to sharpen the skills of those who are coming out of school beginning from the first quarter of next year.
The convocation lecture delivered by Ondo State Governor Rotimi Akeredolu centered on attitudinal change by Nigerians and devolution of power.
Whatever we are facing now, the fault is definitely not in our hearts. The fault is in ourselves.
OAU Vice Chancellor Professor Iyitope Ogunbadede had presented a total of 6,255 graduates from various faculties and programs. Two eminent Nigerians, including Ooni of Ife, Obadeye Ogunwusi, were awarded honorary degrees. In Ile-Ife, Femi Afariogun, NTA News.
Nigerian Entrepreneurs Forum is supporting efforts to strengthen businesses to take advantage of Nigeria-China relations to improve the country's trade comparative advantage. To this end, the forum is convened to further leverage on trade and investment between the two countries in an era of change. Musa Abubakar reports.
The relationship between Nigeria and China has continued to blossom, particularly in the area of trade and commerce. In August 2021, China is said to have exported $2.48 billion and imported $270 million worth of goods from Nigeria, resulting in a positive trade balance of $2.21 billion. But the dynamics for Nigeria at this forum is to foster public discourse on taking more advantage of the opportunities from China, sequel to the China-Africa Cooperation Forum at Dakar, Senegal, where the Chinese leader promised $20 billion to support export and industrialization in Africa.
Highlight the provisions of FOCAC and seek Nigerian active involvement in being able to attract whatever we can from the offers and develop programs and marshal these programs so that we can push them to China.
And talking about investment, I will strongly appeal that any investment that will be done should be on equal basis.
Whatever your professional education, you have a role to play.
The targeted goal is to position Nigeria for mutual trade relations. In Abuja, I am Musa Abubakar, NTA News.
Since the nation's airports are undergoing the process of recertification, gaps, particularly on emergency preparedness, are being handled to meet deadlines. This time around, Nigerian Airspace Management Agency is coordinating other agencies on how to handle volcanic ash eruption, which sometimes leads to air crashes. Aviation correspondent Emmanuel Ayemiro captures the search and rescue operations involved in volcanic ash simulation exercise in Abuja.
A distress call of a loss of an engine due to ash cloud was received by the air traffic controller of an Abuja-bound aircraft from Calabar. Frantic efforts to prevent the crash was established, but could not save the aircraft as it soon lost the second engine, which led to the crash at Ido village.
This search and rescue volcanic ash simulation exercise is one of the gaps identified by ACEU in their previous audit report 3 years ago, which NAMA must meet in order for Nigeria to get its recertification, particularly now that the nation is preparing her airports for certification.
Before airport can be recertified, this kind of exercise must be conducted to see and determine the effectiveness of all search and rescue units participating in this kind of exercise.
People who came in, the first responders to the rescue mission, do not understand what we call the triad techniques. So probably responding to those who were screaming more than those who were seriously injured.
Although experts say Nigeria has not experienced any crash due to volcanic eruption, but the ash could be transported by wind, which might have impact on aircraft engines.
Emergency routine and other things were drawn because of this, in case it's a heavy volcanic ash, the routes for the aircraft to follow.
We have mountains here, the Mambila, the Mandara mountain. We also have the Jos Plateau as Shere Hills. There could be any eruption at any time from any of these.
At the end of the simulation exercise, areas of improvement were identified. Emmanuel Ayemiro, NTA News.
And now, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority has withdrawn the 21 weekly flights frequency earlier approved for Emirates Airlines by the Ministry of Aviation. Only one weekly flight to Abuja has now been granted to the airline, while its Lagos flight is suspended. Statement by the NCAA Director General, Captain Musa Nuhu, indicates that the withdrawal takes effect from December 12, 2021. The statement also confirms that the only Nigerian airline, Air Peace, currently going to Dubai, was refused multiple flights frequency and given only one weekly flight, which is a clear violation of the bilateral air services agreements between UAE and Nigeria. And now, the Jesus College, Cambridge University, London, handed over to Nigerian delegates the Okoko, a sculpture that was looted by British troops in 1897. Similarly, the University of Aberdeen, Scotland, has returned a Benin bronze head, which depicts the head of an Oba stolen during the destruction of Benin City by British military expedition. In a few hours, both of them will be handed over to the Palace of the Oba of Benin, where they were originally taken from. Will this gesture expedite the return of others across the world? This and many other symbolic advantages of the return is what Iveo Yahire is finding out in this report.
124 years ago, history was made when the Benin Kingdom was invaded and many artifacts of historical values looted. Years on, successive governments, the Benin Traditional Council, and other stakeholders have tried to get the stolen artifacts back to base. Most of these attempts failed. The Benin Traditional Council did not relent in the quest to get them back, as there is still clamor for majority of the works to come back. While all of this is ongoing, an institution in the United Kingdom decided to let go of the artifacts in its custody. It is the Benin bronze cast of Okpa, also known as cockerel. This to the Benin is worth celebrating, as a day after the handing over of the Okpa by Cambridge University, the University of Aberdeen also handed over a face of an Oba, a sculpture looted same time.
It's a great joy, and it has put the Benin people at a very high esteem.
It is a victory for every Edo man.
The UK retains hundreds of Benin bronzes, plaques and sculptures dating back to the 13th century, made by artisans from the Edo culture. Historically, much of the focus has been on the British Museum, which holds 900 objects, the largest collection in the world. Will this gesture by these institutions spur them to release it quickly?
Definitely, because the Benin Traditional Council has been working tooth and nail with the international communities, and these negotiations are still going on, and I think the Benin Traditional Council and the federal government of this great nation will not relax on their oars.
We are expecting more, because this is just a tip of the iceberg.
The Oba of Benin and the people of the kingdom are eagerly anticipating the return of the artifacts, as the monarch has invited all and sundry to his palace to come and witness the historic handing over event on Monday, December 13. Already, the Oba has made it known to the public that there are plans to set up a museum in the palace to display them for tourists and lovers of Nigerian history and Edo culture to have a glimpse of what the Edos made with their hands in time past. In Benin, Ivie Oyahire, NTA News.
And joining me in the studio now is Chief Charles Wensui Edosonwa, SAN. He's the Obasui of Benin Kingdom. So you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
All right. There was considerable tension before a deal was struck to return the stolen artifacts. How relieved are you now and the people that these artifacts are back home?
Well, first, even though I don't understand the tension you're referring to, I can tell you that it's a cause for celebration. The Oba himself is overjoyed that even if as a symbol, two of the large number of bronzes that were ripped off the Palace of the Oba in 1897 are returning, it's a cause for celebration. And Benin is agog already. You could see their buntings and banners in the city. And tomorrow is going to be a special celebration for the Oba of Benin.
All right, so
all of us, all Beninese, it's a special celebration for us all.
Okay, so there were some conversations about where to curate them. Has this been resolved in the museum?
Well, that matter in our mind, there's no doubt in my mind that the curating, of course, in cooperation with the National Commission for Museums and Monuments, will be at the Benin Royal Museum that the Oba of Benin is building. And that being said, that is coming from the magnanimity of the Oba of Benin to make these things available for public enjoyment. These things, a lot of them were routed from altars. They were ripped off from shrines and were looted from halls and chambers in the palace. And, you know, for the non-Benin, there may be a misconception that these things are just art. Of course, that the end result of their culturalization process, the capability of the Beninese to express themselves in metals and also keep records. But not all of them are seen as acts by those Beninese. I mean, the ones that were rendered to the memories of past ancestors in the palace, past obas in the palace, that adorned the special shrines of particular obas. The ones that were rendered for record purposes. For instance, if you see some of the bronzes, you see some Portuguese visiting Benin. That was a form of record keeping. That was a form of writing. They said Africans have no writing. That's not true. Until the Rosetta Stone was discovered, the hieroglyphics with which Egypt kept its record for over 3,000 years was gibberish. So what it means is that with these things coming home, the special significances they portend for us will not have to be exploited. But as for the curating, they were taken from the Oba of Benin's palace. I don't see any reason why they cannot be taken there.
Back there. Okay. Okay, so they seem to have, they are not everyday objects, and so they may need a special handling. Are there people to handle them?
Of course, yes. They were taken from here. The guild with the expertise that render those objects are still here. If you visit the Igun, you can observe the process. You can observe the process, and the wood carvers are also there. So this is we're a people of deep cultural connections and deep cultural capabilities. I don't think the Beninese are the people that should be spoken of in very, very patronizing tones, as if we cannot handle the things we made. We can't keep the things we made. That's an insult. I don't think anybody intends to insult us like that.
Yeah, that's true. All right. So, to whom should we owe this gratitude?
What gratitude now?
The return of the artifacts.
You mean we should thank those who stole our
No, I mean those who have been in the clamor for this. Maybe the federal government.
Well, no. First of all, we always before I come to the federal government, let us not forget the others who were robbed of this property. Immediately, Oba Eweka came on the throne. The matter of the return was already being discussed, especially when the British took away the beaded ceremonial dress of the Oba of Benin. After Oba Eweka, Oba Kenswa never relented. Now, it was his agitation that saw the return of the Oba's beaded dress.
The beaded dress that the Oba wears?
Yes, yes. That was returned in 1936. And it was a great celebration like the one's going to happen tomorrow that greeted the return. Now, Oba Eridewa was an activist for the return of these objects. While at Cambridge, he saw this cock in Cambridge, as I'm told, and he said this cock must return home. He saw a hoho in Cambridge. Oba Eridewa is a Cambridge trained lawyer, and while at college in Cambridge, training to be a lawyer, he saw a hoho at Jesus College, and he said this hoho must return home. And while Oba Ewari lived long and really long now, was abroad as ambassador. He was Oba when it was Crown Prince, it was Oba Edewa's agency for the agitation of the return of this thing. So, first of all, let us also praise the Obas who have been in this process from Oba Eweka II, who have not relented in asking for their things back. Let us praise their tenacity. Let us praise their determination to have these things returned back. Then, returned. Then when we're talking about the federal government, we can't be grateful to the federal government enough. Once mentioned particularly in the National Commission for Museums and Monuments, who have partnered us. I don't forget, the Oba himself, very clear-eyed, said, look, the federal government has our blessings to help us bring these things home. And to their credit, they are doing their best to bring them home. Now, what we do not want is that when these things do come home, they are transacted away from the palace of the Oba of Benin under any guise. That will be an issue for another discussion.
All right. So what's your message to the people, just briefly?
Well, Edo, you are on well. I'm happy for all of you. I'm overjoyed with Benin. This is coming at your time, due to your efforts as well. And God has made it happen in this time. I also congratulate you. I congratulate the Benin people. I congratulate the federal government for also making this happen.
All right. Thank you very much, Chief Edo Sonwan, the Obasui of Benin Kingdom. Thank you for joining us on the program.
A pleasure.
All right. You're still on to Panorama. We take a very short break now. We'll be right back.
The vaccine offers hope for a safe country free of coronavirus. I urge all state governments, traditional and religious leaders to take the lead in the mobilization effort within their environment and spheres of influence. I similarly urge all eligible Nigerians to present themselves and be vaccinated in accordance with the order of priority already mapped out at the various authorized designated centers only.
Wife of Edo State Governor Betsy Obaseki has identified close collaborations with key stakeholders if the fight against gender-based violence in Nigeria must be effective. Betsy Obaseki was speaking at End Gender-Based Violence in Nigeria Summit in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory. Elizabeth Omoko reports.
This summit, therefore, is aimed at reviewing the participation of Edo, Ekiti, Niger, and Abia states in its project on strengthening the evidence and response pathway for gender-based violence among these key states in Nigeria. Wife of the Edo State Governor, in a panel of discussion on overcoming political challenges in the fight against gender-based violence, applauded the support of the executive and legislative arms of the Edo State government, the traditional institutions for their support in enacting a law and sensitizing the people about the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Law.
The issue of gender-based violence is rooted in native law and customs. We found that it's critical for you to begin to identify and forge close relations and ties with certain critical players in society.
For the country representative, United Nations Fund for Population Activities, Ula Elizabeth Muela, the culture of silence must stop.
Part of this underreporting is due to the silence culture we have about it. We don't talk about it. It's shameful for the survivor to stand up and say, I was raped. How can that be shameful for a woman? The one who should be shamed is the perpetrator.
The trick to getting anything done is to not stop.
I commend your group of all First Ladies for deciding to at least remove this burden from women.
The need to end the silence and speak up for the girl child and the women who are victims of rape every single day is one these stakeholders in gender issues say society must leverage on. In Benin, Elizabeth Omoko, NTA News.
And now the Shon of Ogbomosho Oba Jimo Oladuni Oyewumi Ajagunbade III has joined his ancestors. Oba Oyewumi passed on at 95. Shon of Ogbomosho, one of the longest reigning traditional rulers in the country, ascended the throne on 24th October 1973. And now President Muhammadu Buhari has condoled with the family of His Royal Highness, the Shon of Ogbomosho Land, Oba Oladumi Oyewumi Ajagunbade III, CFR, on the demise of the highly revered traditional ruler earlier this Sunday. The President commiserates with the government and people of Oyo State, and especially the indigenes of Ogbomosho Land, on the demise of the frontline traditional ruler whose reign of 48 years reinforced the town as a land of peace, accommodating the bastion of history and tradition. A statement by the Special Advisor to the President of Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, says President Buhari also joins the Oyo State Council of Obas in mourning the first-class traditional ruler who will forever be remembered for his counsel and commitment to the unity and harmony within their ranks. President Buhari prays that the Almighty Allah will repose his soul. And that's Panorama today. Thank you for watching. Remember to join NTA in the fight against rape and rapists. Good afternoon.
My brother, my sister, papa, mama, and pikin. Corona, no big passos. We go fight time, we go win. As long as we remember to always do the right thing. Wash your hands, love each other, we go win. Oh. Corona, na the virus, we the worry human being. You no get let go.